What's up guys, Magic Navs here, and in today's video I'm doing an updated video on my LCT AKMS rifle setup. I did do one a couple months back, but since then I was able to make some changes and improvements to the way I would mount things onto the AK, and already you can tell if you watched the previous video. If you didn't, I just feel so much better about the way everything's decked out now, especially with the fact that I used to use zip ties to mount the pressure pad. Now I don't need to anymore, so now I can have I can still maintain this beautiful AK look with to show off the handguard, and while at the same time keeping everything low profile on the front here, so everything still has great functionality. So just to I'll kind of run from the back to the front more so. Starting off, got the 1-point sling here. I think this is it's by Magpul. So yeah, simple 1-point sling, simple, easy to use. I have on the back here, this is a LCT AKMS dust cover. Now, I'm a really big fan of having a rail dust cover to mount your optic on an AK, just because without it, your ability to mount things are kind of limited unless you get like a railed handguard on the top here. But the one thing I didn't like about the dust cover is that there were a lot of in my opinion, very unnecessary modifications. Like, it came with a rear sight that you had to screw with the rail dust cover so it would hinge up and down, kind of like the way my SEMA AK was like. But I didn't like that, and the thing too is just it was just really not practical. I just didn't like that you had to install it, because I liked having to keep the standard rear sight, and then if you wanted to switch the dust cover for the standard one, you could just simply take it off and replace it with the new one, and then also it just would make changing batteries easier. So I ended up having to do some modifications for this, because the way they made you have to do it and install it with the hinge, the hinged dust cover with the rear sight is just annoying. So because you can't install this, you can't just slap it on here, because this part is not long enough. It won't fit into the gap where the dust cover would sit. So what I actually had to do is I had to get a piece of shim, and I had to super glue and tape. Well, first I had to cut it out so that way there would be about like a millimeter or so sticking out there, so that way it could fit into the gap to hold the dust cover in. And then I had to super glue the inside of it and press it into the dust cover itself, and then just added some black electrical tape to reinforce that, and now it's pretty solid in there, and it's not gonna go anywhere. I mean, this is an airsoft rifle too, so you don't even have to worry about like recoil or anything like that. So the great thing is now I can slide this onto like the upper receiver, and I can very easily click this in just like that, and it's pretty sturdy on there. I mean, again, this is just an AG, this is not a real gun. Even if it was a gas blowback, I would be pretty confident with it. It still holds, it holds pretty well, and in regards to the sight, it will hold zero pretty well for the most part, at least as far as accuracy goes for an AEG, right? And so yeah, I like the dust cover. Don't like the fact that I had to modify it, but that's how you can modify the LCT AK dust cover if you wanna maintain the rear sight and not have to deal with the stupid hinge system or whatnot. So that said, the sight that I am using is an AIM T1 red dot, pretty standard, but I really love this sight by AIM just because I have it on my M4 as well. It's got a really nice bright red dot even on just the one setting. Very bright for, especially for indoors. You can preserve a lot of battery, that way you don't even have to use anything higher really, so it's great. Moving forward now, I have here, so in my previous upgrade video, or sorry, in my previous setup video, I would have zip ties here to hold my pressure pad and stuff like that, and I would have literally like two barrel clamps, one here and one on top of here. I switched that out now, and I got some different rails to make this really good. So this, no more zip ties, as you can see. So now I have here, this is so awesome, this is the Tufforce TriRail AK mount. It's got literally 3 sides of rails, one on the right, one on the left, and one on the bottom. So this is pretty, this is an amazing accessory that you can add onto your stock wood AK if you want to have mounting options more available to you for the front. Okay, if you want to get if you want to mount a sight on this style of AK, I would probably suggest the dust cover rail. But as far as mounting things in the front, this TriRail by Tufforce is amazing. The way you install this, it has some hex screws at the top there, so you will have to remove the top handguard here, and then from there it's a 2-piece system, so you just clamp it to the actual barrel from the top and bottom, and you just try to make sure it is perfectly straight, and then from there it's amazing. So now I have my flashlight on the right side, I have my laser on the left, and then I also have the pressure pad mount on the bottom here, and then I still have one UTG rail mount or barrel mount on the bottom here, so that is what's holding my flashlight here. So I still have some space on the right side here for when I want to mount my zoom camera on the side here, which is great. So that said, yeah, those are the TriRail mounts. This is just the single UTG the UTG barrel rail mount, and this is the Tufforce TriRail attachment. Now, onto the bottom here, I wanted a better way to mount my pressure pad instead of zip tying it to the bottom of the wood handguard here. So I was able to get this replica cloud defensive pressure pad mount that just mounts onto a Picatinny. So you really just screw in the hex screws in there, and from there you can slide the pressure pad in there. It's not too tight, so it kind of slides around, but as long as you kind of just leave it in there and you're just pressing into it, it's not going to go anywhere. But that said, once it's on there, it's pretty awesome because you can literally just hold your AK like normal now, other than just using your first finger to press into it. I really like this setup now because now I can just keep the nice look on the wood handguard for the AK, and then I can just hold it normally and just use my first finger to activate my flashlight, and I can do this on both sides when I shoot lefty or righty, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, definitely I love the fact with this TriRail I was able to include that on the bottom as well. Now for the left side on here, this is the G-Sight IR laser. It's not even sighted in right now because don't really need it. It's just play only for looks right now, but once I can save up some money for some nods, proper nods at least, then it'll be more practical and I can actually sight it in. I did actually get a quick detach mount for it, or a riser, just because I don't like the fact that you'd have to screw these in to mount it, so I'd rather just be able to hinge this part open to take it off whenever I don't need it, so, or if I want to make this less front heavy. So as you can see, it kind of sticks out a little bit more to the side, but still fairly low profile, and it's nice because it's also flush with the actual barrel itself. So as far as zeroing goes, I only need to worry about how it's well, once it's level with the actual, once the laser is actually level with the barrel, then I only have to worry about the angle with it from left to right, so to speak. So finally, we got the IFM M600 flashlight that has IR included as one of its abilities. It has about 300 lumens, and it is attached to the UTG single rail mount. And what was interesting though is I thought I could, I ended up having to attach it like this. So this actually used to be right side up. Now this is upside down, so it's able to clamp on the flashlight like so and not get in the way of the TriRail mount here. And from there, I'm still able to get it nice and close to the tip of the barrel, while at the same time not being so far forward and also being too far back, and then shining the barrel in the spotlight. So yeah, overall I'm really happy with all the external upgrades and accessories that I was able to put together on this. Internally, as far as internals go, this is still stock, but I am hoping to get this upgraded with a flat hop as well as a MOSFET, just because as good as it is right now, I do need to get that trigger upgraded, because it does lock up on semi-auto once in a while, as well as I do need to downgrade the spring of this, because right now it's shooting at around 410 feet per second, so I gotta get it down to just under 380. And like I said, flat hop and MOSFET, those are my go-to upgrades, more or less, or downgrades as far as this spring goes. But yeah, that is my rundown of this whole AK setup for this LCT AK. Pretty happy about this now, even though it's kind of front heavy with all this stuff. It's a pretty good arm exercise, and it's fun to run around with this, even though I can't play as of yet. So until that happens, this will just be a nice thing to have as part of my collection now, and just admiring it. So yeah, pretty awesome stuff. If you have questions, leave them down in the comments below, and hopefully we will be able to fight off Bill C-21, and hopefully be able to get back out on the airsoft field pretty soon. Now with COVID slowly starting to die now, like realistically. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and hope to see you guys in my future videos. Until next time, peace out.